been recording now. What is happening? Yeah, there it is. What is happening, sports fans, esports fans, whatever you are? Thank you for tuning in. I am here with my man, Jason Mallmanger. He is resident esports expert. I've been trying to get him to do this video with me for, it seems like years now, even though it's only been a couple weeks. I bombard this dude with DMs. I'm sliding in his DMs multiple times nightly because I am trying to learn this esports game. I'm in these streets. I still don't really know what the hell is going on, but it's exciting. Lock is at 2 or 3 a.m. often, and it's amazing. So we're just going to talk about esports in general, kind of the basics. We're going to go over the slate tonight. I know some people have asked me to come out with a video. I couldn't think of a better guy to join me. Why don't you say what's up to the people, Jason?
Hey, everybody. Mr. Mallmanger here on Twitter. So that's the street cred you need. Just ready to hang out and shoot it.
So
the slate and league in general, I'm trying to get you guys back here and get you going.
One thing I wanted to ask you, man, because like I've been thinking about this and like just in general, like I have seen like you and like the other esports guys that I follow, like Calvin, who I know is, follows the 5-pack, what up? And then like the other guys that do some writing for it, like their followers, like your followers have gone up like a shitload in the past couple weeks, right?
I am suddenly a very popular individual.
Like every day I check, man, your followers are up like 20, 30. It must be nice.
It is. It's kind of fun. Mild internet celebrity is treating me well.
It's just interesting, man, because never in a million years did I think I would be into this stuff, man. Like I am not a gamer. I don't really know, like, if you gave me a controller or whatever they use to play it, I wouldn't be able to do anything. I still really enjoy watching it. So yeah, man. Thanks for coming on the video. Where do you want to start? What do you want to talk about first?
Well, you want to do a little background information on League DFS in general, or are we just going to jump right into the LPL slate that locks?
Let's do some background. So first, let's talk about like the leagues, and then we'll talk about the scoring. So I know like we've talked about this a bunch because I like to pick your brain. The slate that we're going to talk about tonight, and that's been playing like every night, is the LPL. That's the Chinese. And correct. As far as you're concerned, I'm concerned, everyone's concerned, it's the best league. So why don't you go into a little bit of detail on that?
Okay, so the LPL is the LOL Pro League of China, and they are the 2-time defending champions of the world. Invictus Gaming won in 2018, and in 2019, FPX, Fun Plus Phoenix won. And boy, previous to that, it was always the LCK, League Championship Korea. That was the 4, 5, 6 time, basically undefeated. You would have one Korean team. The Korean finals would then be repeated again as the world finals. But as the game has changed and evolved a little bit here, it's moved to a style that suits the LPL a little better. And I think also suits fantasy.
Yeah.
And watching it a little better. And that's kind of why Riot has sort of moved in that direction, I believe.
Yeah, it is. It really suits fantasy. And again, I don't have much background. I've only been watching this for a couple of weeks, but I've watched a couple of the different leagues. And the LPL is like by far the most exciting. Like it's just exciting. So yeah, and I was mentioning this to you before over the weekend, and like I don't know whatever it is over the weekend. Mostly you get the North American and the European leagues, and I know that, and I've said this to you, like Cloud9 seems like the team that's like invincible because they never lose, but in reality they're kind of in like the minor leagues, correct?
That's yeah. Maybe that's a little harsh, but that's about right, I'd say. The rest of the NA LCS, one of their problems really is their best of one format. The way they play their league games, the regular season games, they play one at a time. That's it.
Quite annoying.
Yep. And in the LPL and the LCK, they play best 2 out of 3. So if you try something the first time, doesn't work, okay, let's go back to the basics. Let's go back to what we know. And then teams can set up and start over again. But in the best of one, teams spend a lot of time trying not to lose. And they're afraid to try new things, or afraid to risk 50-50s, 60-40s, sometimes even 70-30s. They're just not going to go in on.
Okay.
That's what makes that league seem a little more boring, and that's why Cloud9 seems invincible is because they'll take 60-40s and 50-50s, and the other teams aren't ready for it. They're not proactive, and then they get dumpstered, and Cloud9 looks great.
And again, if you don't know what he means by all that, it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter for DFS purposes. And I feel like, just on that note, like DFS, League of Legends, and correct me if I'm wrong, like really almost has, I don't want to say nothing to do with the game itself, but like the best thing I can compare it to is home runs in baseball. And really, like, that's what you want, like kills equal home runs.
That's
and
exactly what I try to tell people.
You have to, like, that's how I've equated it. But it's weird because, like, you see a game like this morning, that RNG game, which it's like, for someone like me, like, I don't even understand how that happens. Like, not even like I literally don't understand how that happens, because like they had the lead in every category. So how could they lose the game?
Yeah, that RNG one was pretty tilting this morning. Just enough to knock my RNG lineups out, not enough to get my Suning lineups in. Just a great little combination there. But I try to equate it to baseball, because one of the most important aspects is the stacking. It used to be when it was 100, me and 110 of my buddies basically playing. It was 4-3. You'd take the team you like the most. You'd jam in 4 of them. You'd take the team you think fits them, and you'd jam in 3 of them, and there you go.
Man, I gotta ask you, just on that note, like, tell me about the differences between like now and League of Legends DFS a month ago. Like, tell me, like, I want to know, like, the contest. And I try to tell people now, because people, like my buddies, they can't even believe I'm doing this. So I try to tell them, I'm like, look, the contest, the lobbies in the DraftKings lobbies right now, it's like bigger than a normal MLB night. It's like, reminds me of an NBA night. I'm not going to go as far to say NFL Sunday, but like it's getting there. Like it's insane. So tell me about the differences, because I want to know what it was like before that.
Ooh, okay. So what it was like before that was probably what it's like about 20 minutes before lock, when every single contest is full and they run out a 24-man $8 and a 35-man $5 single entry. Used to be the best contest last year. They had an $8 that was usually, it might get to 200 people.
Oh my
For like a 4-game slate. It was like 200 people overnight. And if you won, you were getting $150 maybe. And that was like the one. And so now this year we started doing that Titans Fury, the $10 on most slates when they're not having a special. And that was similar. That would maybe get to 250 people, and you could get $300 if you won. And then everything else disappeared. Crazy. And the only thing we can play now is League. And so you've seen it. We had the $300,000 guaranteed Insomnia for a $15 buy-in, got you $100,000 to first. So it's pretty intense, like just explosion. Out here.
In normal sports, I'm someone who likes to play. Normally, I like to play like bigger dollar contests, less entry size. So a lot of times I'll play like the $150 3-entry max or whatever. And that's like the 333 or whatever it is. They have those contests every night. They fill like 50K to first in the 333. They fill. Now again, everyone has flocked over. So I think there are definitely edges in League of Legends DFS, like LPL DFS. And it's obviously changed, because when you were playing with so few people, like you talked about, it just was the 4-3. If you got on a stack that like no one was on, the unknown stack, I mean, you were good. Now, like, you need to be on the unknown stack with the one-off if you want to take down like 50K. And DraftKings is always going to have these contests where the top prize, it's so top heavy. So it's almost, you have to take risks, and just leaving money on the and people talk about this and it bothers me. Like, if you do a 4-3 of like a dog and a favorite and you're leaving money on the table, like, that is not being different. Like, people will have that. They don't care about leaving money on the table, as they shouldn't, but don't think you're being sly by doing a 4-3 and leaving money on the table, because a lot of these optimizers that people use will do that. People don't care about leaving money on the table. Sorry, that's my little spiel. Go on.
Nope, that's 100% correct. People are always worried about that. Like, hey, can I have this with $1,800 left over? There's nothing to spend it on.
Exactly.
if you've got those guys and that's what you need, that's what you got. So yeah, now we're looking at even last night, I think it might have been something in the area of like a 3-2-1 or a 2-2-2-1 that would have
I
taken.
mean, a couple of nights ago, sorry to interrupt you, but
No.
I can't remember what team. It might have been Kate. So a few nights ago, the team that won like the top prize and the $10, it was like the jungler from a team that I'd lost, and he only played like one game, I think, or he definitely got subbed out for one game. I can't remember who he is, but do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that was the night that KT played, and they won the first game with their normal top laner and their normal jungler, and then they brought the backups in, and they lost game 2,
Yeah.
and then they went game
Why do
3, and they brought everybody back in. I think is how that went.
The game. I think the guy's name was Sohan.
Sohan was top laner. Sohan. He went out and he actually recorded a penta. I think he had at least a quadra kill, but he might have.
He was in the winning lineup that night.
Yep.
Did they lose that game, like that match?
Boy, you'd think I'd remember like 3 days ago, but
it's okay. There's so many. They all blend together. Trust me, I get it. And all these teams for me blend together. That's the hardest part for me. Like when you're first starting, like all the team names, all the players' names, like just mesh together. Now I'm starting to get a little bit good at it. Starting to like know the players. And like it is like people like question like this stuff is big time. Like they love it. I get why people are into it. Like hell, if I play the game, I would be into it too. I'm just not good at stuff like that. So I was never drawn into it, but now I am. Go on.
Don't worry. That's how I got into it. I stumbled onto it by accident. 4 or 5 years ago, my friend and I work overnights, my real world job. So we were just hanging out, and we noticed on our DraftKings apps we were talking about football or baseball or something. And hey, what's something locks at 3 a.m.? What's this? So we start scrolling around, and okay, sure, this guy gets 70 points, and he only costs $4,200. Oh my God, that's great! I'm gonna get so much money. And you start loading these guys into your lineup, and then one of them doesn't play, and the guy who averages 70 points for $4,200, all of a sudden he gets you 30, and you're just like, what is going on? And so yeah, that's where I came from. Was literally we just stumbled onto it and started playing and did not do good. There was even when it was 110 of us in a contest, we were still coming in 109th and 110th till we figured out what was going on and who was playing and how you can get this info and really how to do it.
So, couple things. One is the screen share working right now?
Right now, I see I see your DraftKings and your Bovada screen. So
all right, sweet. And also, man, FlyQuest is just whooping that ass on EG. And I'm on EG here. I didn't play heavy, obviously, because I don't like these 2-game slates.
They are.
But you told me before that you liked FlyQuest. And again, we're not making the video on this. And EG wasn't really my type of play because FlyQuest has won at least I think they won their past 2. And EG got stomped last time out. But they did get stomped by Cloud9, so maybe they can pull a comeback. Although in this game, it's not likely. I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's good for me.
It is good for
resist the urge to check like that.
So I'm excited to talk to you about this slate. And again, people don't know that much about this, but I know about sports betting. I know about DFS. So I'm excited to break it down like from that angle, and we can talk about obviously the nitty gritty because you know that stuff. And if you're setting lineups tonight, you should definitely check out this video because this is like going to be good stuff. So let's start out with, one of the bigger, there's 2 big chalks tonight. There's 3 games. Now, a lot of these games are often like they're bigger chalks and bigger lines than you'll see in like any other sport. The money line favorites are big. The only other sport I would compare it to is hockey, but it's even bigger than hockey. The money line favorites are even bigger here than hockey. So you can't be too scared off when you see a dog, especially in the LPL, man. Like dogs win all the time. It's another reason I like it. Speaking of dogs and big favorites, we got JD Gaming versus LGD. JD Gaming, a lot of people, it's like sleeper pick to win this split is what they call it. And man, they're good. Like they got a.
Oh, buddy, I lost your audio.
Oh, am I back? Am I back?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, cool. I'm back now. You're not hearing me?
Now you're good.
Weird. Tell me if it happens again.
I can do.
All right, cool. So we got a big favorite in JD Gaming versus LGD. And I was saying, JD Gaming looks good right now. A lot of people sleeper to like win this split. I know that when they got Zoom back, I think, or maybe they just got Zoom, acquired Zoom. Like that was big for them. They've been playing good. They've got one of the best players in the league in their jungler, Kanavi. I read your write-up earlier, so I know how you feel about this game, but why don't you tell the people and go into a little detail about it?
Okay, so we're gonna get the background on Zoom. He's been there. Him and their mid laner Yagao, they're known as the Dumpling Brothers because they're both a little chubbier, and they've been together on that team since they came into the LPL. So
that's really why they're known as that?
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yep.
I love them even more.
So they're like the OGs of JDG. They added Loken this year from Top Esports. He was on last year. They always have had Lumao and then Lumao, sorry. And then Navi was their backup last year. He was on loan from Griffin, and it was like a weird situation. There were some fines levied. The kid didn't get like a contract, so we don't really know what's going on right now because sometimes this Chinese info is hard to get and hard to translate. So it could be that he's playing out the string on this. This is like the end of his rookie contract, sort of think of. So this is like a contract year for him. So maybe that's why he's going so hard. But he has looked really good. In fact, he's one of my favorite little one-offs on the slate here today, just because of I expect Jingdong to win this game. JDG is going to win this game, both games, I should say. I feel like they're going to sweep. And one of the things with Jingdong having been playing so good, JD's been playing so good that they're finishing these games in 27 minutes, and they're only going to end up with 14 or 15 kills, and they're only going to die 2 or 3 times. And that's going to actually they're so good it's going to hurt our fantasy potential.
So I know you've said that a few times, and I feel like they've been fine. Like I can't remember what they did last slate. I didn't do anything special, but I want to say that they might have been on the winning teams because there was a big upset that night. Who did LNG just beat?
Oh, they just beat WE.
Yeah, they just beat WE, and everyone was on WE that night, so that's why JDG, ended up being fine. Again, you're right; they weren't amazing though. I like the Kanavi call. So I want to talk a little bit about LGD because I always like talking about dogs. So
Yep.
It looks like they were playing well. Like they beat RNG, and OMG. Now, these teams are amazing. Like they're not the FPXs of the world, but like I like them tonight. We'll get into it, like just based on like the sports betting side of it. RNG, they look. I don't even know what's wrong with them. You can just tell. I don't even know what's going on, but they look lost. But they're still a good team. OMG is solid. BLG has looked good lately, and then FPX is just like the class of the cream of the crop. So why can't they beat JDG here? And I'm not saying they can. I just want to know why you don't think they will.
I don't think they will, just because I said in my write-up that it's a big showdown here. We've got Peanut, who is a legend in the esports scene from Korea. He came over from Korea in the off season, and he's put on some really good performances this year. That's kind of the highlight matchup. You got Kanavi versus Peanut, and people are going to look at it that way. But the problem is that Peanut doesn't have the friends that Kanavi does. Kanavi's bringing Zoom and Yagao and Loken to the fight, and sort of Peanut's just going to have Kramer, and that's going to be about it. So the way that Jingdong plays the game is they are more lane focused. They like to win lane, win game. So I imagine that Zoom is going to be pushing. We're going to have Yagao pushing. They're either going to be able to push into the turret. So this is hard to I'm talking about game stuff, and it makes no sense to anybody. But they have a higher CS score. They're better at CSing. They are going to, boy, that didn't sound good either. They're going to kill all the enemy minions before the enemy can kill the minions. And you need the minions. If you're not killing the minions, you don't get your experience, you don't get your gold, you don't level up, you don't get better. So an enemy laner is going to be left with a choice. Yuki is going to either have to collect this minion wave or follow Yagao wherever he goes. If he
Okay.
leaves his minion wave, he's not going to get his golden experience. He's not going to level up. Well, Yagao is going to push that wave in, and he's going to take off, and he's going to go fight over neutral objectives, or he's going to show up in the bottom lane and help Loken and Lamau kill Kramer and Kahlua, called a gank. So he's going to go gank along with Kanavi, and that's going to be the problem, is that Kanavi's laners are stronger. Kanavi's team is stronger. He's going to be able to push in and look to have backup when he goes to invade and steal away golden experience from Peanut.
So that brings me into a good question. Like, what makes a really good League of Legends player? Because it doesn't seem like kills is what it is. And that's what you get for DFS points. I read in someone's article, it was like a while ago, that they compared ADCs to like running backs, and that they get a lot of the fantasy points, but that they're not necessarily like the best players on the team. Like, what makes someone really good at League of Legends?
So even that varies. Like,
Okay.
I'll just use the last two world champions. Super easy. The best player on most important player on Fun Plus Phoenix is Doinby.
Right.
And what makes Doinby good is he's the master. He calls the shots for that team, and you'll see him with weird picks. Like, he'll take the Nautilus and take that mid lane. He'll take Scion, a couple of big stinky tanks that just want to soak up damage, and he'll take those picks into mid lane, which is typically reserved for assassins and mages and things like that, and he makes them work because he can communicate with his team and make everybody arrive at the same point at the same time. He's a leader. He's a motivator. He gets it done. He might not be the most mechanically skilled player. He's not making the most clicks per second, which doesn't quite matter as much in League like it does in, say, StarCraft or something else like that. But he is making the calls and doing the things like that. Then you look at the 2018 World Champions, look at Invictus Gaming, and they just run around and do whatever the hell they want, and they get by on pure talent. They know the calculations. You'll hear that on broadcast a lot.
Okay.
Perfect calculation there by Rookie. He knows how, like, down to the pixel, down to that one little blip on the screen, how far he needs to go ahead to be able to pick up that CS, that last minion, to be able to flash, hit his ultimate, do another auto attack, proc his item, click his item, activate it, and then bounce back to where he was, and then just sit back and watch the enemy die.
It's hard to comprehend a little bit, like, without having played it, but I get it.
It's funny, I don't play it either.
Okay, and you've never played it?
Never have played the game. I just watch a lot.
I have watched for a couple weeks and I'm learning, but I'm definitely not on your level. All right, so no chance. So, all right, let me ask you this.
There's always a chance, but I in this instance, I think JD is going to remain motivated because they are in the playoff chase still. They're looking at trying to move up. I believe they still have the ability to move up a spot. And the way the playoffs are set up here, they're going to want to be in third or fourth. It's just going to eliminate an extra game for them. So I'm just going to look at that quick. Yeah, Jingdong can move up to... they just got to hold off E-Star. So that's what they're going to want to do. Or maybe move up. So they're going to be playing for their playoff seeding, and they do not want to drop. They want to keep pace with Fun Plus and Invictus and guys like that. So should not be any letdowns or goofing around here. And LGD, their playoff fate was decided a long time ago.
Yeah, they're done. All right, moving on to the next game. Actually, let's talk about the last game in the middle, because I think the middle game's the most intriguing.
Yep.
Okay, so IG is like they're the best team in the league. They're the class of the class, right?
They are and they aren't, but yeah, yep, they're number one. They need to finish out here, get this win, and then they can go into the playoffs rank one.
Now, they often lose a game. Like in these best of threes, they often lose a game. So I don't know if that's what you're speaking on, how they like.
Yeah.
And this is something
just on their talent so much.
This is something that we've talked about a lot. When these series are best of three, so when you get a 2-0 sweep, all your players get 20 points for the game not played. And that is more often than not more than your guys would get in a loss. However, a team like IG that can get a lot of kills, like they can score more than that in a loss. That's one reason why I kind of like them over LGD tonight, is because even if they do lose, I think that they can get a lot of kills in that loss. And that's always the riskiest, but that's the most upside, right? The most upside, like it's the riskiest. So, and again, I think you'll agree with this, but tell me if you don't. And let me just say this. Like, you don't want your teams to lose because you want your teams to go 2-0 and you get that guaranteed 20. But when you're talking about these huge CPPs with the top loaded contests, like the highest upside is to win 2-1 and your players get a ton of kills in that loss, which happens. Like if we saw that RNG game, like if that happened in game 1 and then like
that would have been perfect.
Yeah, like if that happened in game 1 and then they won the next 2 games, like you can't cash or you can't win a GPP without them. And so that's hard to predict. It doesn't happen that often, but it's something to keep note. Am I off there in thinking that Invictus can get a lot in a loss, or is that just overthinking it, you think?
No, that's definitely a thing. It's mostly going to be on these LPL slates where that's going to be a factor. The LCK side of things, they tend to play a little more controlled. They play more like Jingdong does, more like JDG will. They're going to control those objectives. They're going to have all of their ducks in a row, so to speak. You're not going to be able to sneak up and steal that objective from them because they've got guys in position around it to watch for you. Whereas I often say that IG just gets objectives by accident. Well, heck, we just killed 3 people, nothing else to do. Let's grab a Baron. Sure, why not? And they're stylistically much riskier because that's what they do. They will just kind of pick off the wall stuff, see what happens, and fight.
You compared that to like the Warriors, I believe, correct?
Yeah. There's a couple good ones there, but you've seen it, like LeBron in the Heat. Think of it that way. Rookie's gonna run under and pose for the camera while he throws the lob to the Shy, and the Shy is gonna posterize.
Yeah, they're like a flashy team, and they're fun to roster for DFS purposes. Like they're just fun to roster because they get kills and they're good. Like they're good. So even if the thing about LOL, League of Legends, DFS, like you need the winning teams. It's rare that team outscores the winning team. Now we talked about it, that RNG game, but that's rare. You can't predict that. It's very rare. You need the winning teams. So the fact that Invictus wins a lot means that they're good for DFS purposes. Now they're massive favorites tonight, and LNG is coming off a win. I hate picking on teams that are coming off a win that everyone just discredits because they're about themselves. They just won. I don't know though. Like IG is legit. They're still playing for something, right?
They're just going to be playing to hold on to first here. They don't want FunPlus to pass them. So they would end up
second, can they?
They cannot fall past second. No, they're going to be first or second. So basically, they're going to start in semifinals. The way the Eastern Leagues run their playoff scenarios, it's a gauntlet style. In the LCK, 5 teams out of 10 qualify. We just had the 4 versus 5 matchup last night. So KT played against Damwon. Damwon won. Now they're going to go face the 3rd-ranked team. Whoever wins that's going to face the 2nd-ranked team. Whoever wins that's going to face the 1st-ranked team. So the first team, Gen G over there qualified first. They are automatically in the finals. And that's how it works in the LPL. Yeah. But they have 17 teams, so eight are going to make it.
I like the way that the LCK does it, man. That gauntlet, that's exciting. Like where 5 teams make it, right? And like 5th plays 4th, and the winner plays 3rd, and the winner plays 2nd, and the winner plays 1st, and that's the championship. Like I like that because there is no sport in the world where the regular season means more than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, yep. And the LPL does it the same way, except bigger and wider because they have the 17-team league. So the top 8 make it, and then they'll work their way down. So 1 and 2 will just be waiting in the semifinals.
Right.
3 and 4 will be waiting in the quarterfinals, etc.
Yeah, I like that. And you can tell by these lines here that IG is a minus 1,600 favorite. It's not likely that LNG wins here. To be honest, though, I don't think they're going to be that popular for DFS purposes because they're expensive as hell. I think
Well,
JGD is more popular. Although, I don't know. I think it matters because I feel like you can fit JDG and EDG, but you can't fit IG in one of those other teams, and that's going to keep people off them because you need two winners. So I'm excited to talk about this second game, the middle game, because I think there's a lot of angles to look at it. And again, I don't play this. I know you don't either, but I don't really know how to analyze it yet, except for like a little bit from what I watched. But I do know that we was chalk last time out. They were facing LNG in a must-win. People always love these must-win situations. They're facing a bad LNG team, and they shit the bed, quite frankly. They lost 1-2. LNG was just better, knocked a ton of people out of tournaments, including myself. On that same night, I managed
to have one LNG lineup that I didn't chicken out and change over on FanDuel, and that was like the only one I cashed that day. So,
okay. So at least you got something.
Yeah.
So the reason I like them is not because like they lost last game and no one will be on them. Although I like that. That's a reason I like them. It's also because they're facing a team in EDG who is good. And I know they're better than Team We in general. But they were also chalk as a dog the same night and also shit the bed and lost 0-2. And now everyone just assumes that they're going to roll here because We like was bad. Well, I don't know, man. Like, I know We has played decent against good teams. Now they've lost like 5 or 6, and I'm never a fan of teams that have lost 5 or 6, but they're the smallest dog on the table. I'm not sure how much love they get. Like, break this down for me from a League of Legends standpoint. Am I off here? Like, give me the juice.
No, that's sort of what I was touching on in my article, is that both of these teams are coming off losses as chalky dog. One's a chalky favorite, one's a chalky dog. So people are going to give EDG a discount in their brains just because they lost IG. It happens. And there's merit to playing a little bit of LNG tonight because they're going to be super cheap against IG. And you mentioned it before, IG likes to mess around. They might go 2-1 here because they often play to the level of their opponents. IG has given up games this year to LGD. They've given up games this year to WE. And often in those scenarios, you'll see that the underdog has 1 or 2 positions maybe that outscore or score even with IG. And if you paid $700-800 for an IG guy, you're not happy with an outcome where they score pretty close to the underdog there. And that's where EG was the other day. That's why people were on them. And then IG just finished them off. They were close in the second game, but IG just put the pedal to the metal and took care of business.
You've mentioned that to me a few times recently, that guys that have played IG have scored as much as them.
Yep. That's part of the nature of IG. Often what they do is they'll come out and they'll win game 1. They'll play some pretty standard League of Legends for them anyway. Don't go crazy, but they'll win game 1. Well, then they know they've got that in their back pocket already. Game 2, maybe they'll try a weird combination of champions, or they'll just sort of not really respect the other team. They'll play pretty disrespectful. And so maybe they win game 1 like 15-5 because they played it normal. Then they'll go out in game 2 and they'll mess around and they'll try. One thing, if you look on any stat site, you'll see that IG's kill participation numbers are really low. And that's because they will opt into these suboptimal scenarios. They'll take fights 2 versus 3, 3 versus 5, and other teams don't do that. And yet somehow IG will do that. They'll have 2 guys die. They'll kill 2 guys on the enemy team. By the time the fight's over, the Shy will have teleported in from outer space, and he'll drop 2 more, and in the end, it's 4 for 2, IG wins. But not everybody on the team collects all those kill participation points that you see other teams get.
It's funny, like when you watch these games and you see one of the good teams like get up, like there is no chance for like the worst team to come back, I feel like. But when one of these bad teams gets up, like they often blow it.
That's also the mark of being a good team, is if something happens,
Like,
um, they gank top lane. We'll let you use Gimgoon. Gimgoon's a great. This is literally Gimgoon's job. The top laner for FPX. He's there to absorb pressure. He's there to play weak side. When the enemy jungler comes up to visit, he comes for that gank. He wants to get in there and kill Gimgoon and then, take that turret down and start moving on into the enemy jungle. But Gimgoon's going to move around. He's going to flash. He's going to use his items to try and keep himself safe, and he's super good at that. And then while there are 2 or 3 people trying to kill Gimgoon in the top lane, well then Doinb and Crisp and Tian are moving to the bot side. They pick up the dragon and then they dive the bot turret. Well, sure, you killed Gimgoon and you got 2 plates up top, but on the other side of the map, FPX traded that for 200, 300 gold of their own and a dragon. So at very least, when they're losing on one side, they'll win on the other. If not, trade more and come further ahead. And that's the mark of a good team.
So I guess here's my question then, and I was meaning to ask you this. I probably did ask you this in one of the 25 messages I sent you like after this game. Like when I watched that Wii LNG game, and this is my biggest problem with going back. And I watched the third game especially. Like why? Like as soon as the game started, like not even kidding, a couple minutes into the game, LNG was like had a lead already, and at no point was we even like in the game really. It seemed like as soon as the game started, LNG was just better. Like, why, how can that happen?
Well, some of it I think has to do with this truncated schedule that the teams are playing. Normally, we'll play 2 games a night, and now instead of that, we're playing the 3 games a night, and teams are on back-to-backs all of a sudden, and that's not a thing because we're trying to fit these games in to make up for the 3 weeks we were off. And I think it's affecting some of the teams' mentals a little bit more than it does.
We's in a back-to-back tonight. They play tomorrow also. Go ahead.
Yep, no problem. But also to that effect, bad teams aren't proactive. Sometimes they just don't know what to do. WE is the reason I had some LNG lineups that night was because WE is a fighting team. They don't always have the best objective control. They don't set it up like I mentioned before. They don't have a guy behind the objective. They don't have a guy off to the side, spying, watching to see what's going on. They will just kind of wander into a fight and then they'll win the fight because they're pretty good at fighting, and then they'll take the objective, or they'll push down the tower or do whatever. And when you go to fight like that, you're automatically creating your own little coin flip scenario, those 50-50s and 60-40s I was talking about, where if someone on WE makes the wrong choice, they want to go around the bottom of the dragon pit to try and engage into the fight, or they want to flash over the wall, but the other 3 guys or 4 guys aren't on the same page. You make one little error there, and all of a sudden your ADC is dead, and you can't put out the damage. You got to retreat. So not only did you give over a kill and some gold, but now they have a dragon. Now they have this. So teams that like to fight more, like WE or like IG, as opposed to someone who's more controlled like JDG, that's where you'll see that is. That's where that can come in. So they'll create their own problems.
Okay, so I guess my follow-up to there would be like, IG just gave EDG a lot of problems. And I know that Team We is not nearly what IG is, but they play a similar style. I know EDG is going to a couple bench guys tonight. Like, we need this game. People are, this is, what I love about DFS. People are so quick to go on We last game when they need to win so bad. And now I think that they'll be off them. They need to win even more tonight because they lost last game. I know it's against the better team, but I think they'll go down fighting, literally and figuratively. I like them just from like a sports betting angle because they're also like not really cheap on DK. They're not like crazy cheap. I don't think they're popular. One thing we didn't even talk about on this video, again, I don't understand it. I mean, I understand it, but I don't know like what each champion means, is the draft. And they have a draft before each game, and that may – what I do know about it is that means a lot. I just don't know like what everything means. But if you want to go into a little bit of detail on that, please explain like as best you can in layman's terms, I guess the best way to put it.
Yep. So what we're doing as DFS players is we're selecting the players on the team, and then when they load into the game, they sit down and they select which characters, which champions they're going to play in the game, and then each one of those champions has their own set of skills and abilities, and they'll try to blend them together in these team comps to make them work. And then when you get in the game with your champions, you're going to work towards your win condition. Some teams are built to get ahead right away and steamroll and just never take the foot off the gas. And that's what the draft phase is how they put those champions together to build that team composition to win the game. But it's also factored in with bans. You get to tell the other team which players and yourself ban out that champion. You can't use them. The example last night would have been our friends on Suning. Huang Feng, their ADC, has played he's played over half of his games, I think, have been on the champion Misfortune. So ban out Misfortune, then he can't take that champion that he's really comfortable with, that he's good at playing from ahead, from behind, from left, from right, from up, from down. That's his guy. So that's when you'll hear the casters talk about things like champion pools. And I'm going to go into champion pools here a little bit because WE's mid laner, Teacher Ma, he has a very small and weird champion pool. The other night when they lost to LNG in the second game, they banned out a champion called Aurelian Soul because they know it's one of Teacher Ma's comfort picks. That's one of the champions he really likes to play. And so just like maybe you're a fastball hitter, that's your thing. You're really good at, either that or, you're a fastball hitter. Every time you see that pitcher rear back and he's bringing the heat, you got him where you want him. And that's sort of what this is, combined with paper, rock, scissors, and combined with Pokemon. So it's weird, but that's how it works.
I definitely know rock, paper, scissors. I don't really know Pokemon, but what I do care about, what I want to know, because I did read your write-up earlier, and I could tell you were a little bit indecisive on this. Like, you're making one lineup tonight. We or EDG?
If I'm making one, I'm probably going to take WE.
In tournaments. Now, I think that's a big... Now, you don't have to take either, but the problem is... You don't have to take either, but the problem is, like, good luck pairing IG with JDG. It's just... It's not that easy. You can't just pair the two big favorites. And again, you can find ways to do that, but it's most of the time not the optimal line. You're probably going to need to get this Wii EDG game right. I like Wii in a bounce back spot here. They're not as good, but I just feel like they're a team I like anyways. The middle game.
Yeah, I think a lot of.
I feel like IG always plays in the last game.
Game of the night, baby.
Okay, yeah, that's
prime time over there. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. So for them, that's going to be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at night.
Okay. So yeah, makes sense.
This will be the 7 o'clock, the prime time game. After these guys get done goofing around on the undercard, then you're going to have that Muhammad Ali. Then you're going to have that John Bones Jones. Then you're going to have that type of fight coming up at the end here.
Yeah. All right. Well, LNG's in the spotlight tonight. I think that pressure is too much for them. I think they get rolled on. We shall see. I mean, obviously it's a big spread for a reason. I'm excited for this slate. I'm excited to make more videos with you. I don't got anything else. You got anything else you want to add?
Oof, no. I'm gonna jump back into that middle game a little more. Because I don't sleep a whole lot because I'm staying up all night to watch all these games and I work overnights. So I get a little scatterbrained. And so I'm going to jump back in there. I was talking about Teacher Ma and his champion pool. He plays that Aurelian Soul. And when LNG banned that out, they showed it on the cast that pick has been banned twice in all of competitive League of Legends this year. And it has been picked once. With some of the power picks like Jarvan in the jungle, J4, some of the high-end ADCs like the Aphelios that I talk about all the time. Those are constant. They're 72% presence. They're 78% presence. That means that in 80% of these games, someone is either picking or banning Aphelios or picking or banning Ornn. But nobody is picking or banning Aurelian Soul. And that was just LNG doing their homework. and realizing that Teacher Ma has this weird small champion pool and knocking him off his comfort picks of Rumble, of Aurelion Sol, and Pantheon.
So he uses that, but you said it had only been used a couple times.
Yep. He's one of the few guys that plays that, and right now it's not high priority in the current meta. Each version of the game, we're on 10.6 in the LPL right now. The EU is playing on 10.7. So is NA, I believe. Okay. And each time they update the game a little bit, they make some changes. Senna's W was taking off too much damage, so we're going to cut that down and add some cooldown to it. She was a little overpowered. And so that's what they're doing with these game version changes, basically, is they're updating the game in real time to sort of balance the issues that the characters are having. And that's why you see Aphelios, like I said, at 80%, because that champion is disgusting, and it can do everything. The nickname there is Aladios because it does a lot of things. So yeah, when that meta changes, that can change a lot for who you want for fantasy even, because right now it's shifting more towards tank top laners and ADC focused compositions, because the ADCs are going to be building up, getting 4, 5, 6 items on them and doing massive damage, doing front to back type of team fights with those tanks in front. So that meta change does a lot. And right now his champions aren't super meta, so nobody else is taking them. So if you can knock him off of them or find another champion that is a counter pick that plays really well into that champ, you can come out ahead. So that's why I like EDG also. But EDG is, their playoff position is secure. They win, they don't go up. They lose, they don't go down. They're already in, and so they're not as motivated. And then we got word this morning that they're starting their backup top laner, Audi, and they are starting their backup jungler, Junjia, not to be confused with Jie, their starting jungler. So I don't really know what's going on there, if they're just giving the guys a day of rest, so to speak. We've been talking about these back-to-backs that are really wearing on them, but what I think they're doing is Audi was playing really well before Jinwoo came back, and I think they might actually just kind of legitimately giving them a little look here in case they need to have a backup plan for the playoffs. They get into game 4, they can swap in Audi and pull some other weird champ out of his back pocket and play that for a game, and then go back to Jinwoo and sort of create a mismatch for the enemy team in the playoffs, maybe.
Yeah, man, I love it. I was just, chuckling about, you said back to back, because you laugh at it, not you, but the, proverbial you. And but it's a real thing though, because obviously it's not like an athletic, you're not doing anything athletic, but anything you do like a ton of, like it's going to get boring. It's going to wear on you mentally. Like these guys are playing a ton. These guys are gaming a ton. These games are strenuous, high intense. Like I get it, man. I think we see the real we show out tonight, though. I really do. I don't know anything about it. I couldn't tell you why. I just know that I think everyone will be off them, and I think they come through. They need this win badly. EDG does not. I like them.
No, I like the idea of that bonus spot there.
So I know we've talked about this a lot, and one reason I like asking you questions is because you have a nice ability to like translate this or like break it down in a real sports terms, and I like that. And I know that you do that in your article a lot, so I'm going to shout you out in your article. Go check out Rotoballer. His articles are free pretty much every day. I start out the day reading them to get my info whenever they come out. They're really informative. It teaches you a lot, and it also like gives you the skinny on what to look for tonight. So yeah, man, I'm pumped for this slate. You got more you want to talk about? Did we freeze? There we go. We're back. I think we froze for a second.
Yeah, we did there.
Did you have anything else you wanted to go over?
No, this is going to be our last. I say no, and then I start right into it, but yeah.
No, you're good. That's like I do.
This is going to be the second to last regular season LPL slate. Monday's 420 slate is going to be the last regular season. Then we're going to get into the playoffs here. Running in the background of all of this, we're going to have the EU Masters tournaments going on in Europe there. And what that is a collection of the top league regional leagues. So you're going to have the champion in the second place from France facing off against the champion from Germany and the third place team from Portugal. And in the past, DraftKings has had massive stack up slates for the round robins in that, where they'll play 4 games, then they'll switch those teams around, they'll play 4 more. So we'd have 4-game slates taking place like every 2 hours. So if that's the case, it's almost like a March Madness type of scenario where I would see if I couldn't get off of work and hang out at home. And just
4-game slates every 2 hours. That's for the EU Masters.
Yeah, if they that's what they've done in the past for EU Masters, the MSI and the World's play-in stages. When they get into their group stage and they play these double round robins, the teams are playing 4 games a day just to try and get this in. And so if DraftKings does like they have done in the past, we could see on the 22nd, I believe, is when group stages kick off for the main stage on the EU Masters. We could see a 10 a.m. slate, a noon slate, a 2 o'clock slate, a 4 o'clock slate, or 11:30, 12:30, whatever. But you could see as many as 4-game slates taking off in one day's time, with a bunch of teams that nobody really knows about, because not a lot of people even at our level here of fan interest follow down to the French league or down to the Hit Point Masters 13, the Czechoslovakian league, basically. I feel like I will have some content out for those as well. DraftKings skipped those play-in stage groups and waited for the knockouts, where they did the best of 3, but they did have some slates up for that. So we'll see what they bring us here. But League of Legends action is going to continue into the playoffs for LPL and LCK.
That's what I was going to ask you. What's the playoffs look like? What does the playoffs look like for LPL?
Oh, it'll be kind of like the LCS and the LEC are doing now. We'll get a 2-gamer here and a 2-gamer there. So it's not the greatest in the world, like you said. Those are usually pretty massive chalk, and it's hard to get different. You just kind of play them to have something going on and keep tabs on your favorite guys and watch what's going on. But once we decide who the spring champions are in every league, then we're going to have the MSI, the Mid-Season Invitational, where the LEC, the LCS, the LPL, the LCK, all of their champs go. The VCS, the Vietnamese League, PCS, the CBLOL that we had the other day, all these other smaller leagues are going to get together, and they're going to kind of crown a spring season champion at the end of that MSI tournament. And then we'll take maybe a week or 2 off, and then we'll start on the summer season again, and then we'll be grinding 4-game overnight slates with 2 LPL and 2 LCK games, or 3 LPL and 2 LCK games on until, but I want to say the end of August. We'll be on that, and then we'll move into another playoff scenario, and then we'll get on to the World Championships.
So in that summer, there is like kind of a World Championship in the spring, you're saying. Are the 4 big ones, the LEC, the LCS, the LPL, and the LCK, are those the 4 big ones?
Yeah, those are your major regions.
Okay. So you'll have the winners of all those 4 playing each other?
Yep, the winners of those 4 leagues will automatically qualify for the MSI main stage. And then, like I was mentioning, Vietnam and they won't lose. They won't get knocked out of the group stage.
Okay.
In group play, they might lose a game or 2.
Okay.
There have been some pretty famous upsets in the past. I had one at Worlds in 2018 that really torqued me. And then Fnatic lost to the Gigabyte Marines from Vietnam in a famous cheese game. That was pretty exciting. So they'll drop games to these lower tier regions, but once it comes down to best of 3, best of 5 to move on to the quarterfinals and the semifinals, then you won't see it. No.
Okay, fair enough. All right, man. This was fun. Let's do this again whenever you have time. I know that you work a lot, even in this days of quarantine, which I'm kind of envious of, because can't wait for real sports to get back so I can get back to work. But man, I'm grinding in these in these LOL streets. And again, I'm excited to make more videos with you. And everybody go check out rotoballer.com. Jason Malmanger. Yeah, that's all I got. Thanks again for making the video, bro.
Perfect. Fun times. Yep. Hit me up at Mr. Malmanger on Twitter. I'm usually putting out these starting lineups, some of the other little fun info nuggets and things like that for the slates. These posters that I've been putting out.
That's one thing that I wanted to say. It's a good call. So you're really good with putting out the starting lineups, but then also like the LCK doesn't release their lineups. They're like, I don't know if it's intentionally like because of this, but they're against gambling. So like they don't want to, they're not going to put that stuff out because of that. I don't know if they don't put it out because of that, but they're not going to put it out because of it. So I don't know. What do you think, or what do you know?
That's it. They've traditionally been against anything like that can be influenced. And there's a couple hardworking Korean journalists that do get that information out to us as soon as they receive it, which can be as much as an hour before the start of the first Korean game. And so during normal times when we've got 2 LCK games and 2 LPL games going on, you got plenty of time to make that first adjustment. But now with slates kind of jumping around, sometimes you have maybe 5 or 10 minutes
to
pivot in those LCK matchups.
And there's no late swap, which I love, to be honest. Like, I love that because, like, the slates are during the middle of the night. Like, I like watching it, but sometimes I want to sleep. So I think that I like no late swap. Yeah, I like the no late swap. You can just set it and forget it. I love it. So.
Yeah, man. Good times. Definitely. We'll have to hit it up again. Maybe we can do like a basics or something while we're down with there's in between games in the playoffs, So fun times. That'd be great.
And again, if anyone who's watching this still, if you have anything you want to hear, go over, hit me up, hit Jason up. We got time. So thanks again, guys.